Okay.
All right, guys. So, hey, how's it going, guys? So quick little side note: we just did a whole podcast, and then we just realized we should have switched up the beginning part of it. So now we're gonna do it now, and
Yes.
it'll make more sense once you get to the end of the podcast how we got to this point. But let's go. Roll that intro. Coconut. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Roberto Guido.
And my name is Marissa Lewis.
And together we are
the Dos Cocos Locos.
And welcome to our podcast.
So our goal with this podcast is to drop as much coconut fire, which is our way of saying life/business knowledge bombs, for creatives that don't necessarily know much about life or business, through conversations with one another as well as with other fellow creatives and dope people.
Our story has a lot of twists and turns, but basically we started by selling coconuts at the beach, and now we have our own photography and videography business, and it's through these conversations that we were able to really learn how to navigate this thing called life. Enjoy. So we just wanted to start this podcast just because we follow Gary Vee, and he really kind of pushes that, and we just are big podcaster listeners ourselves.
Yeah.
We listen to a bunch of different types of podcasts just to kind of like put some positive energies in our mind and just get us throughout the day. So
and while we're working on other
yes,
things.
that's true. So just kind of learning while we're working and twerking.
Working and twerking.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we are.
So yeah, so that's kind of what we're trying to aim for as far as our own podcast, I guess, in a way. So before we get started as to what community over competition is, we're just gonna kind of quickly tell you our Dos Cocos Locos story, how we got started and how we got to where we're at right now.
Yes.
Which is pretty quick, short timeline, I guess you would say. So we started off long time ago. When I was born.
Land far, far away.
So, Marissa and I, we were working our adult jobs. So I was a high school science teacher. She was working at a job that she found on Craigslist, basically she got to drive around cop cars and like was doing office manager stuff so that was cool for her. And so I was a full-time high school science teacher. I was teaching 9th grade, and I really did enjoy it. I had a great time with my students, but hanging out with the teachers, that negative environment just really turned me off, and I had to find a way to get out because I was slowly dying.
Wow, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. And so that was happening on my end, and then on Marissa's end.
So I was going to school part-time, working full-time at this job. And it was just like a 9-to-5 job that I had to pick up because I was going to school part-time, and bills, student loans start rolling in. That was fun.
Still rolling in.
But yeah, so we basically used to like build cop cars and fire trucks and ambulances and put all like the lightings and partitions in cop cars, and once they were completed, we would take photos of these vehicles to show other agencies. And so how we kind of like switched into this whole thing is because one of my coworkers had like this really cool like Canon camera similar to the ones that we're using now. And he let me borrow it to like take pictures of the cars. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I always wanted like a cool like real legit camera to take pictures on. And he's like, well, why don't you borrow mine for a month and see how you like it? And I was like, what? So he let me borrow it for a month. He's like, just have it back to me before Christmas. And I was like, okay. So I came home and I was like, look what I got.
Yeah,
he gave me this whole camera bag.
I come home from work, I'm like, Marissa, what the heck is all this stuff?
Yeah, like 3 lenses, a flash, his camera, all his batteries. Like, it was crazy. So came home. Robert saw it. The next day he bought his camera.
Yeah, because it looked so good. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And at the time, I was just saving my money up because I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But I was making like big boy money because like I was getting paid relatively well as a teacher compared to like a college student.
Yep.
So I'm like, whoa, I have all this money. That's crazy. And I wasn't really spending that much on rent. So I was really just racking it up. Like, I'm not going to lie. So I'm like, okay, this is crazy. I'm going to buy a camera too, because like I love making videos ever since when I was in high school. I love making videos, but at the time I only had a GoPro, and I was like making videos for my students doing the labs, and I'm like, all right, might as well just get a cool camera because this looks cool.
True.
So I bought a camera as well, and like we just fell in love with it because it was kind of like our creative outlet, and it kind of gave us something to look forward to after work. So Marissa and I would go to work. I would go to work from like 5 a.m. to like 5 p.m. because I had to drive like an hour to work. And
I was
Marissa,
going from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
yeah, which was pretty lame because sometimes I would like pull up and she would just be pulling up too, and I'm like, what?
I was 15 minutes away.
Yeah, so it
from
was,
my job.
yeah, so it was like not fair, but it was okay because I was making like more than her, so I guess it worked out.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so we would just eat real quick, like from like 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., chill a little bit, and then from 7 p.m. to 12 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, we would just go to the Mac Lab in Coastal Village and just like go on YouTube, practice, learn new techniques, things like that, and just slowly like do that over and over again. We did that for like a few months.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of free stuff.
Yeah.
So like free shoots, photo, video, like a ton of free stuff. What are you looking at?
I'm gonna need to restart the cameras.
Okay.
Let's do it. Pause.
Hey, AQs was like, he replied to our story. He's like, podcast?
Oh.
Question mark?
Yes, AQs podcast.
We're making a podcast.
We're gonna give you a shout out. AQ
Yes.
Views. Follow him on Instagram. AQ and then views.
Views.
With an S at the end, not a Z.
Yep.
That's it. Change your life right there.
Yep.
All right, so back to the podcast.
What were we talking about?
So blah, 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 working from like 7 p.m. to like 12, 1, 2 in the morning.
Yes.
So yeah, so we're doing
did
that. A lot of free stuff.
A lot of free stuff, and then it like slowly mutated into like paid stuff, and like we met people, and like we just kept meeting new people who linked us to other people.
Yeah, and it just kind of like a snowball effect, and we're like, what the heck?
And then we started getting paid for like bigger stuff, and
Yeah.
then we're like, okay, let's see
yeah.
what happens. We're liking this. We can get paid to do this.
I literally remember that too. We were driving from Tampa back to Fort Myers, and we had this conversation in the car.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, what if we could do this like full time? And so we came up with a number that we wanted to save up before we did this, made this big jump so we could have like a little nest egg just in case everything failed, and we didn't make any money. So we saved up that money a lot faster than we thought we were going to. And actually it went like a little above the amount that we said in like 2 months, which is crazy. And we quit our jobs in May of last year, and so it hasn't even been a whole year yet.
It's crazy. So much has happened since then.
And then July, we got our LLC, and now we're official.
Yeah. Shout out to Ian.
Ian
Helped us out.
Ian Knight.
Yeah. You helped us out a lot, bro. But
Yes.
so then we're like, okay, that's crazy. So then we did the big move from Fort Myers to Tampa. We got here, and then we realized we didn't know anybody. And we're like, wow.
We had no friends.
We have no friends. This is weird.
Not true. I did have some friends that from like high school and stuff.
Well, that
but
doesn't really count.
that doesn't really count.
Yeah, they came like the first day, and that was they hung out with us like the first day.
Hey guys.
For her birthday party.
That was cute.
That was pretty. They're cool. They're cool. They're so chill. They're so chill. Yeah. So we didn't have like any like business friends or like creative friends or anything like that.
No like real connections.
Yeah, like honestly, like almost none. Like besides like your family and stuff, but even then, like.
Yeah. Well, like some of our business. Oh my gosh, there's so many bugs like trying to get in because they see all these lights.
Oh my god, that's scary as fuck. All right, continue with the story.
That's really distracting. There's like a swarm of bugs on our glass door trying to get it up in here. But
yeah, for those podcast listeners that can't see it, or the video people too, I guess.
Yeah.
It's behind the camera.
And it's super dark, even though it looks
pretty
bright
intense.
AF in here because of these bomb ass lights you got. Shout out Amazon. And where was I talking about?
It's not a sponsor, by the way.
Not sponsored.
Unless you want to sponsor us.
Yet, Amazon. Where were we at?
Tampa, no friends.
Tampa, no friends. So we had no friends, and then we started working, and like we only had this much money left, and we're like, okay, we're not going to go out, we're not going to spend anything, we're just going to stay home and work on stuff and text people on Instagram, but like not really. Like we were just trying to post things and get our numbers up because we felt that mattered at the time.
We're like, we need to get to at least 1,000 to look official.
Yeah, which
we're
like,
still not at 1,000.
Do.
We're still not at 1,000, but we still feel that. But like at the same time, we realize
we
it's
feel
not
it less.
as important. It's not as important. It's really not.
As like
really
it was. It
Yeah.
was really important to us then at the time.
Yeah. So that was like our main focus, I guess, for a long time.
Yeah, it was like getting our numbers up.
So
and
we're like,
looking
all right.
official.
So we're like, we're not gonna go out. We're gonna save up,
Yeah.
like, or save our money, and we're just gonna try to get our numbers up, and then just like try to make content for ourselves. And then we realized that we
We
weren't
were-
getting any jobs.
Yeah. We
Which
were
was-
still spending a crap
And
ton
the
of
money was still going away, yeah.
So we're like, this
It's
is not working out.
So we did what any other college student would do. We just started reading books because we were freaking out.
Yeah.
So we started reading like a lot of self-help books, I guess. And,
Yeah, a lot more. Like, we
yeah.
started reading books a long time
That's true.
ago.
That's true. But we started like really like appreciating their value for sure.
Yeah.
Once like nothing else was working, we're like, all right, somebody has to know the answer to this.
Yeah.
So basically, from those books that we read, was you need to make as many friends as possible,
Yep.
and you need to
Connections
not.
are key.
Yeah, connections are key, and you never should eat alone,
Yes.
or try to like limit that as minimal as possible. Like you want to try not to eat alone
Yeah.
as minimal as possible. So we're like, okay, we need to switch it up. So instead of just reaching out to people on Instagram,
I think I'm literally touching this every single time I move. We'll see what happens.
now if I find out.
Yeah.
So literally, we switched up our Instagram game. So we figured out like a system that kind of worked for us to try to land a coffee date or a lunch date with people.
So that was our goal.
And I guess saying it out loud sounds kind of weird, but like that's what you had to do. Like you had to try to figure out a way to meet new people. Because for us, we were like, we don't know anybody. We need to meet new people. We need to make friends.
Via Instagram.
So that was like our most important thing to us, and it still is.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, how do we do that? So we figured out like we could give away free stuff when we could, like animations and stuff. That's when I kind of got into it.
Yep.
And then just see if we fit in somebody's schedule, and sometimes that's all you really need. If you can fit in somebody's schedule, then they're like, yeah, I'll go get
And
some
like, yeah, let's get
coffee
coffee.
with us. Yeah.
'Cause
So we'd be
coffee's
like,
great and everyone loves
so
it.
we were like, all right,
Except
so
for
how
me.
does
I don't know why.
I like hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm like, how does this date work at this time at this location? And then all they had to do was check their calendar, and if it was open, they're like, yeah, sure.
Yep.
So like we're like, oh, that actually works. It's really that simple.
Yep.
Yes, guys, it's really that simple. For those of you listening, that's all you gotta do.
You literally just say,
Whoa.
hey, you're cool. Do you want to get coffee? In like a non-creepy kind of way. Don't be creepy. It's
Yeah.
very easy to get creepy.
Super easy. I think it's easier for us in a way because we're like dating and we come as a couple,
Yeah.
so it's not sexual at all.
Yeah.
But if
Don't be
you're
creepy.
if you're single, just try to make it uncreepy. Even just like if you just address it, you're like, hey, I'm not trying to be creepy because I know this sounds creepy, but like let's just
Maybe
get coffee.
don't say that either.
Well, okay, I don't know. I don't know how you would say it's single, but like, yeah, just figure it out. You figure it out.
Just don't be creepy.
Yeah, just be like,
I mean,
yeah.
that's-
And there's gonna be a lot of people that don't respond too. That's totally fine. Just keep on going.
Yeah.
Because the people that don't respond aren't really meant for you anyway.
Right.
Like the people that do respond, those are the main peeps that you want to focus on.
Those are the
because
real peeps
Those are
who
the
are
real
also
peeps.
looking to make friends,
Yeah, and
because-
and most of the time, those are the peeps that are on the same frequency as you.
Yes.
Because almost everybody that we've met through our system of reaching out have always been on the same frequency as
Yeah.
far as like mindset and like things like that.
And
So-
a lot of times, like we've had pretty good responses when we've
my
reached
God,
out to
what?
people.
That's true.
Like people want to make friends, and they just don't know how.
Yeah, so if you
that's
could,
been
if you
helpful.
can take the bullet and be that first awkward
Like, hello.
stance, like hey, say like hey first, and like just take the bullet and just be vulnerable. Is that how you say it?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Nope, you're
Vulnerable.
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 It's fine.
I don't think I'm saying it right anymore. Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Yeah, vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, if you can take that first step and be the one to be vulnerable, then people will appreciate that because they're like, oh, I feel like weirded out to do that. So since
Yeah.
you did it, let's go get some coffee. And then so
And then you get coffee, and everyone's friends.
yeah, and we've literally met a lot of people that way, and that's
Yeah.
helped us out a lot. All right, Marissa almost just dropped the water all over our laptops
We're good.
on our brand new table.
I don't even know what happened.
Oh my gosh! So that was
I think it would be fine.
That would been crazy,
We're
but
good.
so yeah, so then that leads us to Cave Days and part 2 of this podcast, which wraps everything up. I feel like
I think so, kind of.
because that's where we're at. Did you want to add anything before we cut to the next part?
Yes. So wait, where we? Oh, we're cutting. Okay,
Yeah.
to where we started. Okay, so this is gonna be confusing for everyone.
I'm so sorry, guys. Fucked it up.
This is the first one. Okay.
We started with the middle part and then figured out we should have put the beginning part at the beginning at the end. We're sorry, guys. Thank you for those who are still
Thank you
listening.
for sticking around.
You guys are the real MVPs. on Instagram or wherever this is, drop like a fire emoji or figure out a way to like get to us, and we'll give you a high five or something.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
Also, what I wanted to say, let me think about this before I say it, because I wanted to say something and now I am forgetting the words.
Quick cameo of Akita.
So what we're gonna do with these podcasts, Coconut Fire.
Oh, true. Connected in there.
Is basically gonna just be conversations with other creatives because that's what we like doing, and ourselves. Like we're creatives, kind of sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's what I was gonna say.
Good job,
That is
Marissa.
all.
That was in the intro. That was in the intro.
That was in the intro.
All right.
I'm remembering this now.
Should remember the intro. All right, guys. Part 2 of the podcast. Enjoy. Welcome.
I just want to start by saying that I'm having an allergy day, so I'm currently dying.
It's kind of ironic because the reason why we waited to do our first podcast was for this table, and the reason why she has allergies is because she's allergic to the table.
I'm not allergic to the table. It's just the glass coating that we put on is still really strong, and we need to let it air out, but we wanted to use the table, so we put it inside. And it really needs just some more time outside in the open air.
Okay. All right, so as you guys heard from the intro, this is our first podcast officially, the Dos Cocos Locos podcast. So welcome. Thank you for just checking us out.
Yes.
And yeah. So the topic for today is community over competition.
Wait, I'm totally going to sneeze. Just in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I spell competition right?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so community over competition has kind of been like our saying now for a little bit. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, just kind of what that means to us, how we kind of got to where we're at right now in our business model, I guess, or whatever you want to say. And just kind of like some tips and tricks that we learned so far. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started, this conversation.
Yes.
So what does community over competition mean, Marissa?
So basically, oh my God, it's not. So basically, community over competition just means that we are trying to make friends. Bottom line, we're trying to
We just had no friends, so we're like, how do we make
so
friends?
We're like, be our friend.
We trick people into being our friends.
We do. We try. Basically, the fields that we're in both photo and video are really competitive, and they don't really need to be. Like, there's so much business out there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That like it doesn't need to be as competitive. At least like where we are right now in Tampa. Like it doesn't need to be as like cutthroat as some people make it out to be. And I feel like we can all learn something from somebody else. So having like a community of creatives and even non-creatives, like we need analytical people too. So
yeah, if you're a math person or like just like someone like that, we need you because we are really bad with our finances. But bless you. But yeah, so that was kind of how we create. Well, we didn't really come up with the term community over competition, but but we did come up. This has been all day, so it's kind of funny, like having to wait because like now I'm actually paying attention to you.
So funny.
We were editing all day before this. All right, so basically we came up with this thing called Cave Days.
Wait, Taylor.
Another one? Ooh, God.
Sorry.
That's love, guys. All right, so we basically came up with this thing called Cave Days, and in our way, we were able to kind of knock two birds with one stone, because one thing with like photography and videography is you spend a lot of time on your computers, just editing, working on like client work, working on your own stuff off our Instagram, stuff like that. So you're kind of like juggling.
And a lot of people don't see that. Like a lot of people just see like the photo shoots and like going out and having all the fun stuff. But like I would say that the majority of our time is spent at home or like at a coffee shop just working on things on our computer and not with a camera in our hands.
Yeah, that's true. Like today we didn't like step outside the house really, except to do a shoot real
Yeah.
quick, just to come back to edit.
Like a 30-minute.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Outside of the house.
Yeah, so that was about it. But
Yeah.
so and since that took up most of our time, we're like, how can we still get stuff done while still meeting other new people? Because we do like spending time with other people, like grabbing a cup of coffee, stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is great. Don't get me wrong, but we could also be working on stuff as well. So we were talking about it for a minute, and then we're like, how can we do this? And I think you kind of came up with the idea of just like, why don't we just invite people to our house and work on their stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she came up with it, and then we're like, what are we going to call this, like meetups and stuff? And we're like, well, since we're kind of like in the dark all the time, hunched over in the cave, how about we call it like a cave day? And we're like, yeah, that sounds cool. So that's basically how Cave Day started, and we've been doing it ever since. And we do it every other Thursday.
Yep.
And we just hit our 12th Cave Day last Thursday.
Yes.
Which is a big deal because we honestly didn't know like if people were gonna like it or not. Like
If people were gonna come.
yeah, like our first couple of Cave Days, there was only like 1 or 2 people that came out, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like even that blew our minds because like people are actually coming out of their day to like hang out with us and work on stuff. Becky's just gonna be popping in and out of the
What's up, Pup?
podcast throughout because she doesn't know what's going on. But yeah, so that's kind of what Cave Days like started for us, and then we slowly started to see like, wow, this whole other side of like photography and videography, the community aspect, is what we really liked and what we really enjoyed. So we're like, let's keep on pushing that.
Yeah.
And that's how community over competition started. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we talk about on this podcast?
Oh, ha. Sorry. I drank like a whole bottle of Harito.
I was like, what is happening?
I was like, oh, it's all coming out at the same time. So what are some things that, what were some of like, your most memorable moments from like Cave Days, or just like meeting new people in general? Like, what are some things like main takeaways that you've gotten so far?
Well, I think like it's cool that we just don't have like only photographers and videographers come out to these things, because we've had like some music producers, some rappers, who else? Just like some TikTok famous people.
You know who you are.
Yep. And everyone has like a different perspective on everything. So like everyone comes from their own like world.
Yeah.
Basically. So that's been cool. And even someone who's not in your field just brings a whole new perspective to anything that you're doing, really.
That's true.
So that's been really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, just hearing everyone's stories to how they got to where they are is like, we have a crazy ass story that doesn't make any sense. And just hearing everyone else's story on how like they ended up in this kind of like creative realm is cool.
That's true.
Because it's usually like not a normal thing. It's not like
like almost like no two stories are ever the same. I would say they're all completely different, crazy ways of twists and turns that led them to where they're at right now, which is cool. So that's what we really enjoy. Just like whenever we meet someone new and stuff like that, we're like, how did you start with this, or like how did you come up with this name? There's like almost always a story behind it.
Or even like people's goals, like just hearing like what people want, like where they want to be, is crazy. Because like everyone has like these like crazy lavish dreams, which are really cool.
Yeah.
And like seeing people lay out their steps on how they're going to get there is interesting.
Yeah. Then on top of that, like following them on Instagram, social media, stuff like that, and seeing them like slowly do what they said they were gonna do. Yeah. That to me, that's what like makes me super hyped up to do what we're doing, because like we're slowly laying out what we want to do, and then we're slowly doing that too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I keep on forgetting there's this camera and that camera. So
I keep looking at this one if you go there.
Like, oh, that's it. But yeah, that's true. I think for me, one of my favorite things is just seeing the collaborations that has come out just from Cave Days. So we just we had like, or we didn't have an art show, but we were like volunteering for an art show, and we needed like additional shooters, so additional photographers, additional videographers, and we just asked our peeps at Cave Day, we're like, hey, is anyone free around this time to help out? If you do, you get like free food and free drinks, and like you get to meet some really cool people too. Yeah. So to me that was cool, because although we weren't able to pay them or anything like that, I think they were able to see the value of it because they were able to meet new people that were like pretty well connected in the Tampa area.
Yeah.
They got free food and they got free alcohol, which is dope.
Which is always a great time.
Yeah, like always a good time. Like if you give us food and alcohol, almost like that, I think that's basically all we really would work for.
Oh yeah, like we will work
we
for
would
food.
work. Yeah, we would work for food
And have worked for food. So.
and probably will still continue to do that every once in a while. But yeah, so that was cool just being able to see that. But I've also seen like other people do like random photo shoots with each other, like outside of us. Like we don't even we don't even plan that. Like they just connect with each other and they're like, oh, let's do this shoot.
So that's cool.
And then that's cool. We're like, whoa, like we brought them together and now they're doing something like that. To us is like our favorite thing to do is just like connecting people together.
Yeah, it's cool being a connector.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you do this,
Yeah, it's like,
they do that.
Yeah.
You two should meet each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And like work on stuff.
So that's to me
true.
is cool, and then just continue to build the community and stuff like that, which is
I think this might be touching.
that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're good.
there's gonna be like a weird sound the entire time. But yeah, I think that's basically the story behind the community or competition.
Yes.
Our little phrase that we didn't come up with it, but like it's out there.
Yeah,
already.
no, this phrase has been out there.
It's already out there, but
We're just bringing it to light.
we just added some more stuff to it,
And
some more poof.
We made stickers.
So tell the people how they can get stickers, Marissa.
Coming to our cave days.
Basically.
You get stickers by coming to cave
Yeah.
days.
So if you take your time, like we appreciate time, like we understand your time is valuable.
Yeah.
So if you take the time to come to our cave days, we will reward you with a sticker.
Yes. And cave days are just cool for so many reasons that we just described, but
we're not
also
just
because
we're literally not just tooting our own horn. We just really genuinely like believe in what cave days stand for.
And it's just cool because like we wish we would have had something like this when we were starting, so where we could like lean on other people in our field and people who aren't in our field just get like connections like that. So that's cool. I feel like a sneeze is coming up, but I'm just gonna keep going. And yeah, so it's just cool to like have like that core group of people and like keep bringing in more people who you can grow with.
Yeah,
and
even
learn
people
from.
like we have people that are from like Miami and back in Fort Myers that like want to come to our cave
we have
days.
people everywhere.
And that's crazy. That blows our mind. We're like, you guys really want to like come all the way to Tampa and like hang out with us
For a couple of hours to like
that blows
to
our
edit
mind.
some
Yeah,
stuff. Like
so that's cool.
crazy.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we're just very like blessed and just like very honored that people are paying attention to what we're doing and like we just want to pay it forward by just giving you as much knowledge as we've learned so far. Because we started off just at Coastal Village at the Mac Lab, just on YouTube editing and just practicing.
Everything.
And we have like a lot of footage already like recorded on our past YouTube channel or on our past YouTube videos where it's literally just us like practicing some stuff or just talking about like our camera gear and stuff. So we literally had no idea what we were doing, and we still don't really know what we're doing, but we're slowly starting to meet new people that can kind of help us fill in our weaknesses.
Yeah.
And in return, we kind of help them fill in their weaknesses as well.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, because we're like, what? Like, you don't know how to do that? Like, we can do that for you real quick. So it's kind of like a good like give and give relationship. Like they give us some stuff, they give us some stuff, and we work together and we build up from there. So yeah, that's basically it.
So that's community over competition.
Boom. So do you want to do like how do you want to end these podcasts?
I don't know.
Yeah, so this is kind of like, again, this is our first podcast together, so we don't really know like how our layout's gonna be yet, so we're kind of winging it. But
totally winging this.
yeah, we literally just watched a video on Gary Vee, and he's like, you need to be doing
everything,
and
all
we're
the
like,
time.
dang,
And we're like, oh,
like you're right. Because sometimes it is hard. Just as a creative, I think this is like another thing I want to talk about is it's so hard to be able to balance like your own work for like your own personal brand and stuff like that, and then still work on other people's stuff. Like right now we're kind of helping other, like we're like working on a lawyer account and like another account, like make graphics and stuff for social media. So
content.
We're making content
like
for them.
client content.
Yeah, so we're like making sure we get those stuff done at a certain deadline, but then we kind of push our own stuff back because like, oh, we got to finish this stuff first.
Yeah.
But then our stuff doesn't get pushed as much, and then we're like, oh, but like this pays the bills, but whenever we do something for fun, just for us, more people come to us, and we're like, what the heck? So it's kind of hard to like balance that out. So,
well, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Because that's a big old topic in itself.
Yeah. So
let's talk about that. So there's a balance between client work and personal brand work / like your own company's work. We have not found that balance.
Yeah, and we've been in this game officially since July of last year, and we still don't know how to balance that out.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also partially because now we're getting more like consistent client work. And so it's not just like one and done. It's like, oh, we got to do this every week. And for our own stuff, we're like, oh, we got to do this every week too. So it's just like one more client that we have to do, but it's like ourselves. But yeah, there's definitely like, we've noticed that when we make like our cave date videos that we've been posting, those little clips that are on Instagram, go check them out. When we post those and like promote them a little bit, they get a lot of views compared to like some of like the client work that we post on our own page.
Yep.
So like people enjoy seeing our faces, which is weird because we are super awkward in front of the camera, and we push that hard because that's just who we are. We don't know how to do it any other way. So, yeah. I didn't really know what else to say with that. So I guess the takeaway from that is we just really need to make ourselves a client.
That's true. Treat ourselves as a client that we need to get done on
with
certain
hard
times.
deadlines.
That's true.
Just like we have hard deadlines for our clients.
Dang. So treat yourself as a client.
Yeah.
To get stuff done for yourself.
Basically, or else it's just never good sign. Because you're like, like we could wait to post our own stuff.
Yeah, even this podcast. Like we had this table done since Saturday? Friday?
Well, we had a lot of stuff this
true.
weekend.
That's true. But we still did push it back.
We did do it.
We didn't have to wait for the table to be done. We could have just done it.
Yeah,
but we were just making excuses for ourselves too, because we have all this stuff. So I think that's another thing. Like it's good. It's hard to find a balance, but another thing, it's super easy to make excuses for yourselves as well. Like we recognize that. Like we could be doing a lot more, and we don't, just because sometimes we just don't feel like doing it. Because it's hard. Like this lifestyle is like completely different than what we're used to. Like there's no structured routine, and like like it does help to make a to-do list. Like I do that. Just about, I don't want to say every day, but just about every other day. I'm trying to, like, I'm getting into the habit of doing it. It's hard though. Yeah. But you have to become your own boss, and you have to be like, hey, Robert, you need to do this, this, and this today before you go to sleep. And I'm like, okay. And then around like after 7 o'clock, I'm like, well, I think I'm about done. But I'm like, I'm still have like half of the stuff to do.
There's on my list. And then also before you go to sleep, that's another thing. Like our times are different. Like it's not just 9 to 5. It's when we wake up to like when we go to sleep, which is another thing. Time management is difficult because you actually have to say, okay, I'm only going to work 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and say, give yourself like structure. Otherwise, if you give yourself 15 hours a day to work on stuff, it's going to take you 15 hours a day to get it done.
That's true.
So that's hard. So like scheduling in client work plus your work in the time frames is important.
That's true.
Which we have not figured out yet.
Yeah, that's true. Because like one of our main goal was to try to do this full time. So that's like what we pushed. But then once we got there, we're like, okay, now what do we do? So like, I wish that we kind of would have taken a little bit more steps as far as routine went to get ourselves ready for that jump. Because once we got that jump, because once summer school was over, it was like full 180. I'm like, whoa, we have all this time now. Instead of just from 7 p.m. to like 2 a.m., we have all this time
now we feel like we've way too much time.
Yeah, now we're like, whoa, it's intimidating.
It is.
It's intimidating as fuck.
To have like,
can we curse on this?
Yeah, I think we put it as explicit, right?
Yeah, we're going to curse on this because like we're just going to be 100% ourselves.
Real, because I'm
and if you're one of my
sometimes, so.
Yeah, that's true. And if you're one of my students watching, like listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, but like I'm just going to be myself.
It's real shit.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh yeah, I guess you can. All right. This is weird. Now. It's weird for me. Like, oh my god. But yeah, it's intimidating. It really is. But like we really do enjoy it though at the same time because we get to do some stuff where we would have never had the opportunity to do.
Like going to meet someone for coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Like what the heck?
On a Wednesday.
And that's considered work because you're literally meeting a new person, and that person might have some opportunities for you, and you might be able to offer something. Yeah, so it's crazy. So like just seeing
forming
things.
Community.
Exactly.
Sorry, that popped up in my head. I had to say it.
Yeah, but just seeing the world a little bit differently, like something that you would have done just for fun.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this is business now. Like you have to think about it business, but it's also fun at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to differentiate because sometimes they do mesh together really well.
Yeah.
But like you have to remind yourself like, oh, this is work. Like I'm doing this for work. Like even our cave days are for work, but they're also for the
Fun.
community, and then we enjoy it.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of hard to like separate those two because they mesh really well together, and I guess
Yes.
that's why it's hard to make a routine sometimes because you're like you're having fun and you're like, oh, like it doesn't feel like work, but
Right.
then like when you're done throughout, like at the end of the day, you're like, oh, like then you feel it.
And you're like, oh, I'm
So,
exhausted
yeah.
because I've been staring at a screen for
Yeah.
12 plus
Yeah,
hours.
you can get carried away for sure. But yeah, so that's just a little rant off of that. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
But that was some good stuff.
We kind of went into a couple different directions there.
Yeah, and that's kind of how our life is. So like we're just
And how our brains work. So there it is.
and that's literally how Cave Days came about. Like that weird conversation turn
Yeah.
was how Cave Days happened. So bringing it back to Cave Days. But yeah, so
Yeah, bring it
I
back.
think that's a good first podcast. We're not too sure how long. Or not, 22 minutes. So we're not too
Wow.
sure how long we're gonna keep them. Maybe around this time should be good. We
We're
don't-
also probably going to try to have topics that we
That's
talk
true.
about.
And on top of that, we're also gonna start bringing more people to come to our
Yes.
little table or meet them wherever, and just have a podcast with them. Have them share their story
Yes.
because we learn a lot from their story. So we kind of
Oh,
want to
should
share
we
their
talk about our
stories.
story?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess we can do that. You want to do that?
Oh, maybe this should have been about something else.
This is why it's hard.
So a lot of times we make YouTube videos, I'm like, oh yeah, that was great. We record a whole like 20-minute thing, and then I'm like, oh, maybe we should have went
She
in
does
this
that
direction.
all the time. Like at the very end, once like it's done, she's like, "Oh, we should do this instead." I'm like, "Dang!"
And then it's actually a good
and
idea.
it's a really good
most
idea,
of the
but like we
time.
just did all that. So instead of redoing everything, let's just add it to this.
I don't know if we should add
All right, we're gonna add this to the beginning. So this is the end of the podcast,
it.
guys. So thank you so much. Take it easy
For listening.
And now we're gonna add what you hear at the beginning of this podcast. Now we're gonna do it now. All right, bye.